It's 8:05, so we're going to get started. So thank you all so much for joining us. I'm so grateful to have you here and to have Kayla here with us today to talk about gratitude. And I think gratitude's a really incredibly important topic given the stress and the trauma that many of us are experiencing during this time of COVID-19. My name is Jessica Gonzalez-Rojas. I am a candidate for New York State Assembly, and a number of the issues that I care deeply about is health, immigration, education, public transportation, and good government. And we had planned quite a number of town halls in the community to talk about the multitude of issues that impact the lives of our constituents. And obviously when coronavirus hit, we had to rapidly switch from doing, door-to-door engagement and reaching out to the community in person, and what we had planned is in-person town halls, to moving towards virtual. What was really important was to first check in on our neighbors and our communities. So rather than knocking on doors, we immediately shifted to phone banks. So we host phone banks nearly every single night, and we're checking our neighbors to ensure that they're well and they're healthy. And if there's any needs, we provide community mutual aid support. We are also offering virtual webinars, as we are tonight, on topics that impact our district, just as I would have with town halls. So we've held numerous webinars already on issues related to coronavirus, to homeschooling, to housing, to the census, to criminal justice, to environmental justice, all the issues I care really deeply about, and providing an opportunity for the community to learn more, learn from experts, and really have a discussion about how it's impacting our lives in this moment. If you missed any of them, they're posted online at our website at votejgr.com/coronavirus. And I also asked if you're able to give some time. We invite you to join a phone banking shift. It's really rewarding to connect with our community, to call and check in on our neighbors. And we've already checked in with thousands and thousands of neighbors, but there are thousands and thousands more to connect to. So if you are able to join us for a shift, please visit votejgr.com/phone bank. So before I introduce Kayla, I'm going to share some logistics. Folks are automatically muted as we begin this conversation, but we absolutely encourage your questions. So you can either click the chat box along the bottom of the screen and type in your question, and I'll be able to read them out loud. Or if you want to get on camera and open your mic, if you click the participant button and then click raise hand, we can also have you join and speak on camera. So for the best streaming quality, we do have the cameras off right now and the sound off. We'll be recording this video and posting it on social media with Spanish subtitles for our monolingual Spanish speakers. It'll be hopefully streamed through Facebook Live. We're having some technical difficulties, but hopefully this will be on Facebook Live shortly. And we'll also be live tweeting in both English and Spanish. So please follow the hashtag JGR webinar and retweet. And we will wrap up by 9 o'clock. And again, post the video for those who are unable to join us. So I'm super excited to introduce Kayla Axelrod, who is a licensed social worker. She's a forensic social worker at the Legal Aid Society, and she works directly with children. She's joining us tonight to discuss the mental health benefits of having a gratitude practice. We all know that the stress associated with coronavirus has greatly impacted our mental health, but it's really important that we find ways in which that we can cope. So Kayla is joining us to discuss its history, the cultural intersections, and how to incorporate a gratitude practice into our daily lives. So Kayla, thank you so much for joining us. I am grateful to have you here and to share you with our audience.
Thank you so much, Jessica, for having me. I feel so grateful to be here. So I think we can all just first start out by having some of that gratitude that Jessica and I just shared for being here today. Whatever led you here to this webinar, for showing up for yourself, for taking a few minutes, for caring about a gratitude practice, for caring about Jessica's campaign, whatever it is. Just take a moment to feel some sincere gratitude for that. So I want to also start by acknowledging that it is a great privilege to have the time and resources to create a gratitude practice. This is a practice of shifting into a perspective of gratitude. So it is a practice, and practices takes time. Practicing things takes resources, and we all have varying access to resources right now, given our physical, emotional, mental, spiritual, and financial capabilities with the coronavirus crisis. So I just want to really take a moment to acknowledge
Oh, Kayla, we lost your, we can't hear you or see you.
Can you hear me?
Oh, I hear you now.
Okay, great. Sorry.
Now you're back.
Okay. So, yeah, just taking a moment to acknowledge that it is a privilege to create this space for yourself to have a gratitude practice. Given that we're all coming with different things and responsibilities with this crisis, and we're all experiencing it from different angles. So, what is gratitude? Typically, a lot of people think about gratitude as just being a positive feeling about something. I think it's so much more than that. I think of gratitude as a language of the heart. Sincere gratitude can happen on any level, but whenever it does, it's coming from this feeling of appreciation that, in my experience, lives in the heart. And so it's especially difficult during a challenging time like this, like COVID, we can't change the situation that we're in. We can't change what brought us here, but we can work on shifting our perspective to a more positive mindset. We can shift our perspective, and that is through working on a gratitude practice. But I do also want to say that this pandemic is not a productivity contest, and we can be grateful for truly simply existing during this crisis. That is enough right now. You can be grateful with yourself for every breath you take during this pandemic. So I also just want to share a quote that had been going around the internet a lot. I had a lot of trouble finding this source, and I'm so sorry for that. But it was something to the effect of, we're not working from home during a pandemic. There's a pandemic happening, so we're at work. We're at home trying to work. And I just think that's so true. We really can be grateful for just the things that we have, and being able to be in our homes, in our families' homes, wherever we are, truly just existing. And this is a really good time, like Jessica said, to establish a gratitude practice and feel that gratitude sincerely, whether it be for our health, our loved ones being safe, being able to quarantine with family, quarantining alone. And I also want to say here that it's okay to feel two things at once. So it's okay to feel grateful, to maybe have more time to spend with your children and your family, and at the same time feel overwhelmed by that. It's okay to feel grateful that maybe your children have an opportunity to continue to engage in their education online, and feel overwhelmed by the process of homeschooling. It's okay to feel grateful about living alone and being alone during the quarantine and having your own space, and also really miss your family, really miss your friends, really miss those outings and your social engagements. So it's okay to feel two things at once, and that includes gratitude, which I think can really be an underlying current of a feeling when worked on through a practice steadily. And I also just want to say it's okay to just be sad and not use a gratitude practice to count your blessings. Like, it's okay to just feel and flow your feelings out, however they're showing up. And maybe you have gratitude for the way they're showing up and the way that you're feeling your feelings in your body, and maybe not, and that's okay. So there have been a lot of studies on gratitude, and they really all show the same things. It has great positive benefits on our health and our mental health. It improves our mood and our emotions, leaving us with positive affect. It improves our self-esteem, and it helps us create stronger interpersonal relationships. Of course, if we're grateful for ourselves and what we're bringing to a table, and we're grateful for the person we're in a relationship with, whether it be romantic, platonic, and we're grateful for what they bring, when we come together, that is a bond that is stronger. And it does help in decreasing stress and depression. And so we can see, looking through history, that there are famous figures who have achieved the most wonderful things, and we put them on the list of the most inspiring humans who have lived, and they have all had gratitude practices. So this includes Albert Einstein. He said that every day he gives thanks 100 times for the work that people have done to allow him to do his work that he sees, and the work that's been done that allows him to do his work that he does not see. Martin Luther King Jr. had his own gratitude practice. Mother Teresa, the Dalai Lama, Leonardo da Vinci, Shakespeare, Newton, and many more. And so this has been documented throughout history and also throughout cultures and religions. There is a golden thread of gratitude that shows up as a common denominator in different cultures and religions going back thousands and thousands of years. Gratitude is at the core of Christianity, Islam, Judaism, Buddhism, Sikhism, and Hinduism. It's also at the root of most indigenous traditions, from the Australian Aborigines to the African Maasai and Zulu, from the American Navajo, Shawnee, and Cherokee to the Tahitians, Eskimos, and Maori. Muhammad said that gratitude for the abundance you've received is the best insurance that the abundance will continue. Buddha said that you have no cause for anything but gratitude and joy. Krishna said that whatever he is offered, he accepts with joy. David King spoke of giving thanks to the whole world for everything between the heavens and the earth. And Jesus said thank you before he performed each miracle. So gratitude has shown up throughout history, and it has been documented all of these different ways, and as we can see the positive impacts that a gratitude practice can bring, and what it's done for people historically, and also what it's done for our society and different cultures. And something that I'm really inspired by right now is our communities and the way that we are showing up for each other during this crisis. I just have so much gratitude every day, the way I see my colleagues show up at work to represent children, the way I see neighbors posting signs with phone numbers if people need help with groceries. It's truly just beautiful. And I think just holding this at the core of my perspective right now has really helped in shifting that perspective to an abundance gratitude perspective. So I have a few practices that I want to share with you. And the first one starts on that theme, gratitude for our relationships and for our community, and being inspired and appreciation and having appreciation for others. So here's a quote by Albert Schweitzer, a Nobel Peace Prize winning medical missionary and philosopher. He said, "At times our own light goes out and is rekindled by a spark of another person. each one of us has cause to think with deep gratitude of those who have lighted the flame within us. So I am so inspired by my community. I'm so inspired by the people who are showing up right now and who have made a difference in my life during this crisis, who I see making a difference in other people's lives. So one practice that you might want to try is to take some time to think of 3 people who have made a difference in your life. 3 people who have maybe changed the outcome of your life, helped you find a different path, or your path was changed because of them. And to just take a few minutes to write down how they made a difference and why you're grateful for them. For each thing you write, I encourage you to say the words thank you. I know a lot of people as children were taught that there were magic words, and the magic words were please and thank you. I have been told by my friends that I sound like the most beautiful broken record, because thank you is just so frequently coming out of my mouth because I just experienced so much gratitude for my relationships and everything that I have and the way I experienced my life. So thank you. Try saying those words a little bit more, and try saying them with this exercise and say them out loud. So when you make your list, write it, include the person's name, say, I'm grateful for this person for changing my life in this way. They made a difference in this way, and I'm so thankful. Thank you again, this person. Bonus points if you want to contact that person and express your sincerest gratitude for them. So some other practices, one common one a lot of people have tried, it's really great when you're getting started, is to literally count your blessings. Counting in the morning, maybe making a list of 10 things you're grateful for, maybe at night before you go to sleep. I like doing this in the morning. I've had a long practice of that, and then ending my day with this second practice called the magical rock. And I will say a few of these practices that I'm sharing, including Count Your Blessings, Magical Rock, come from a book called The Magic by Rhonda Byrne. And it's a really great book. I definitely encourage you to read it, especially if you're really interested in amping up your gratitude practice. So the magical rock practice should be done at the end of the night. When you're about to go to sleep, you can take a rock. It also doesn't have to be a rock. It can be maybe just anything that you feel connected to, any small thing you feel grateful for, and hold it in your hand right before you go to sleep, and think about the thing that happened during the day that you are most grateful for. And in doing this, your brain will automatically cycle through so many of the events that happened in the day, but especially the major events. And those major events, your brain, because you're already thinking in this gratitude mindset of what am I most grateful for, you're going to be shifting that perspective to the gratitude. You're going to be working on that gratitude mindset and experiencing it as you reflect on your day and what happened. So these 2 practices, the counting your blessings in the morning and the magical rock practice at night, are a really nice way to sandwich the day in gratitude practices. You're waking up and you're beginning with gratitude, and right before you go to sleep, you're ending your day with gratitude. So those are 2 things that are a little less time consuming to start a practice with. And it doesn't have to be a list of 10 things you're grateful for. Someday it can be 10, some days it can be 5, some days it can be 3, some days you can wake up and remain in your bed, and as you're pressing your snooze, maybe thinking of 3 things in your head and not writing them down. That's okay. It's about working the brain muscles. So another practice that I really love is another for magical relationships and bringing more gratitude into your relationships. So this practice You can print out pictures of 3 people, or you can just have those pictures on your phone saved and handy. And in the morning when you wake up, make a list for each person of 5 things that you're most grateful for about each person. When you finish writing the list, go through and read each item that you wrote on the list, say it out loud, and then again use the magic words out loud, say thank you and that person's name, and thank them exactly for what you're feeling and you're thinking when you look at that picture and you think about that relationship. And so then throughout the day, take maybe 2 or 3 times to look at that person's picture and again feel that gratitude. So it's not just the words of thank you. Gratitude is the feeling beyond that comes from the heart. And kind of like an apology, like the words I'm sorry don't have much feeling if they're not coming from the heart, if it's not coming from the feeling. So I tend to think of that when I think about describing gratitude, is that it comes from deep down within you when it's sincere. And maybe that just isn't happening right now for you, and that's okay. And you can just say the words and maybe even superficially or sarcastically say them, and then maybe it becomes real eventually. It's okay. It's a process. Have gratitude for the process. Another practice is anything we can do with feeling grateful for our health. During this pandemic especially, I just feel that every breath I take is a new opportunity to shift my perspective. Every breath I take is a new opportunity to feel thankful and grateful for being here. Being able to do the work that I do, being able to show up for myself and my loved ones. Every moment that I'm here, I'm counting my blessings, feeling that gratitude. Another, so maybe just a meditation of 3 minutes, not even 2 minutes. And a meditation, some people think about like just silence and sitting in silence. And a meditation can be just breathing and saying thank you for every breath. So even if it's just 30 seconds, even if it's 10 breaths, and for those 10 breaths, for each breath, you have the most intention. You have the most sincerity about your gratitude for that breath. That is a beautiful meditation. You can also remind yourself throughout the day of your gratitude for your health. Maybe write down on your desk or your mirror or wherever you like to put notes for yourself. If you do that, the gift of health is keeping me alive, because that is what is keeping us all going right now. And sometimes just that physical reminder of seeing it can prompt that response in us of gratitude. And another practice, another way we can incorporate gratitude into our lives is through food. Love gratitude for food. Food is also keeping us alive. Food is the most nourishing thing that we can put into our bodies, other than our breath, of course. But food, there's just so much to be grateful for. And we've seen this also throughout history and religions and cultures, is the gratitude for food. A practice that you might want to try is just looking at your food and feeling grateful for however it got to you. So whoever planted it, feeling gratitude for whoever watered it, whoever harvested it, shipped it, sold it, prepared it in the meal before you. So many hands went into that, and try to feel gratitude for each part of that process. You can also feel gratitude for the beauty of your food, the different colors, the different textures, the different smells, the different tastes. You can really make eating a practice of gratitude when you're looking at all of these things. And another practice you can try is simply with your footsteps. Take 100 footsteps or 50, pick a number, and for each one, feel your sincere gratitude with each step. Whether it be gratitude for your foot that has landed there, or for your leg for extending your foot, or for the ground for holding you up, or for gravity for keeping you grounded down. And that's another really quick, easy to tap into if you're paying attention, just beautiful moving meditation. And a final practice that I will share is to feel grateful for yourself. Maybe in the morning, just saying one thing you're grateful for. I like to look in myself in the mirror at night, just look at myself in the eyes, say, what am I grateful for about myself today? Maybe say it in your head, maybe work up towards saying a few things that you're grateful for about yourself out loud. And again, being grateful for the process. If it feels weird, that's okay. We are not living in a culture and a society right now that's putting gratitude at the forefront. And that's just the way it is. So again, it's shifting your own perspective to get there for yourself. Something that I also like to do as a practice, if you're ever feeling frustrated about something, this is a really, really big challenge, but just make a list of 10 things that you're grateful for about that thing that frustrates you. And this is very difficult, especially if you're in like the midst of a breakdown about it. I just heard my mom laugh from the other room. This is really helpful for shifting that perspective. And those are the practices that I have. So I will close with one quote by Thornton Wilder. He said, "We can only be said to be alive in those moments when our hearts are conscious of our treasures." Thank you all so much.
Thank you, Kayla. That was beautiful. I took a lot of notes, and I appreciate everything you shared, because they were very simple practices and ways to like ease into it. If folks have questions, again, you could click the chat button and type it in, or you could raise your hand in the participant screen. Kayla, I want to share one, and this incorporated a lot of what you talked about, including the Count Your Blessings in the AM and then the Magic Rock. One thing that I found helpful, I went to grab it, is, I don't know if you could see it. It's a book called The 5-Minute Journal, and it sort of embodies what you said, but it's already like pre-printed. So in this moment where we've, as a candidate, I didn't imagine spending very much time with my family. So I do think about the sadness of losing my experience of door knocking and being in front of the community in ways that I was really deeply excited about. And simultaneously feeling grateful that I get to spend time with my family that I didn't anticipate spending, for months. So we've gotten to a little practice where in the morning me and my partner both have one of these, and then we have one of these for kids. It's like the 5-Minute Journal for kids, which is super cute. It's just condensed. But basically what it does is it has 3 things. It offers a quote for the day, and then has 3 questions for the morning. And the questions are, I am grateful for, and it has like 3 lines. What would make today great? And then a daily affirmation. And as we're actually doing this every day, it is a practice. Like, you have to really think about what you're grateful for, and it's about opening your mind about what those things are. So sometimes I'm like, I'm grateful for the sunshine, or my warm bed, or the food on the table. So it's like being very conscious and mindful of those like simple things. And then at night, the idea is that you go back to the journal, and kind of like the rock, it says that the 2 questions for the evening are 3 amazing things that happened today, and then you write 3 amazing things, and then how could I have made today even better? And the point with that one is like, how could I have made the day better? not like what could have been better, blaming others. It's like really kind of owning that and sort of reflecting on the day. And I found this really rewarding to do. I had this for many years, but I've only like used them once in a while when I remember. But now that we're home every day, we've gotten into this practice that feels very special. And it has quotes at the top, and I wanted to share one quote with you all. It's by Robert Holden, who I don't know who that is, but he says, "The real gift of gratitude is that the more grateful you are, the more present you become." And it does force you to, again, be very present about the things that we're grateful for. And what's really cute is that the kids version it's a little bit different. It has a quote or a word of the day, and it just has one line. I'm grateful for one thing, what would make today great, and then the daily affirmation. And then at night, it's one amazing thing that happened today, and then what did I learn today? So they don't have to reflect on how I could have made the day better, but it does allow them to reflect on the learning. So, the funny thing is, like, you don't have to actually buy this to do it, right? You could just have a notebook to engage in this practice. But it reminds me of what you said, like counting your blessings and having a rock or an item that triggers a reflection of the day and the gratitude. So I just wanted to share that because it got me thinking. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that or journaling as a practice.
Yes, that's beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that. I love journaling. I think all of the practices I shared can be done through journal or through verbally saying them out loud. I think there's power to both of them. And of course, just thinking it as well. I do think the real power comes from experiencing gratitude as a feeling. So I think it's using whatever platform that's going to help you get there best. And whether that's journaling, great. I love journaling. For me, that's super helpful. Whether it's just thinking about it, taking some time, that's good too. Mm-hmm. But I love those books with the different prompts. There's so many just cute gratitude journals that you can buy with different prompts, and you can also make one. Just maybe like scrapbooking a cover, doing a little painting, tapping into the inner child. And I think that that's also what gratitude work is. I think in childhood, it's so easy to see the magic and the joy and everything in so much and see so much brightness. And I think a lot of that comes from a feeling of being grateful for these new experiences. So I think it's getting back to that.
We have a question about fostering gratitude during grief. How do you move to that place when perhaps you're in a really dark spot or you're in a dark moment in your life, especially during this time, during coronavirus, where so many lives are being lost? What are ways to summon up gratitude when there's deep sadness?
That's a great question. I think that takes going with the flow and going with the time and trusting the process. And I think it takes really tapping into your body to feel whatever's coming up and feel the emotions that you're experiencing. And so if your emotion is just pure sadness and grief, and there might not be any gratitude there in a given moment, and that's okay. And I think your gratitude is a practice of being present also. So just tapping into yourself in the present moment to shine a light. Is there maybe just a crack in here that I can be grateful for? Just something shining through. Just start really small. Mm-hmm. It's not to push you out of the sadness. It's not to get rid of it. It's the process of feeling everything, and that is what eventually and with time helps us heal. So just taking it step by step, listening to your body, listening to your heart, going the pace that you can truly go, given your emotional and mental, physical capacity, listening to those things.
You mentioned to me earlier, and I actually forgot to say this in your intro, that you were studying yoga. Can you talk about the connection between gratitude practices and sort of physical movement? And do you think that's important as well? And I also think about this moment where many of us may be more sedentary, given that here in Queens, New York, we have small apartments and maybe not a lot of room. You want to practice your social distancing, staying indoors. So if you could talk about that connection and then ways in which you think it might be important to connect the two.
Yeah, thank you. So I think movement is something that we can always be grateful for. And I think movement is one of the most beautiful things because it can shift our mood. If we go slow enough in our movement, if we pay enough attention to what our body's feeling with every movement, what our heart and our emotional body is feeling with every movement, we can work through that flow. So the connection for yoga with me is taking the time and breathing through and being present and being comfortable with the discomfort. So the poses, the actual physical practice of yoga, the on the mat, downward dog, whatever you're going to get into, that is sometimes not comfortable. And if I slow down enough, I can feel in my body changes happening. And so that helps me. Connecting with that shifts my mood automatically for me. That's how my practice works. And I think there's gratitude for that, and gratitude for just like, wow, the body, to get so many messages from the body telling me I've been sitting at my work from home desk for how many hours without a break, it's time to take a walk. So I think the gratitude comes with being present, and it all connects to listening to the body, listening to your emotions, listening to your heart, and really giving yourself that time and space to pay attention, be intentional, what's coming up for you, and can you be grateful for it? And if not, can you move through it and flow through it with grace and ease? So so both physically and emotionally.
Great. We have a question for someone who is totally new to this or even a little skeptical. What do you recommend as a first step to starting this practice?
Yeah, great question. So real first step would be wake up in the morning and write one thing down that you're grateful for. And then if you like it, maybe the next morning, add a second thing to that list. And then the next day, maybe a third. And then keep adding on.
Can you share how you got into this practice? Like, do you have your own journey or story that you are able to share with us?
Yeah, I just remember I have a lot of just like memory sensations with my body, and I just have a few very distinct memories of just feeling overwhelming gratitude in my body as a child and feeling overwhelming joy that came with that gratitude. So that for me was just something that I always paid attention to in the back of my mind. And then as I grew up and became more into these practices and self-reflection and self-development and self-growth, I learned that this is something that is a practice and has a lot of positive benefits.
Great. Thank you. We don't have any other questions at the moment. Is there other ways that I think about like mindfulness, and that's something I've been thinking about over the last couple of years, and trying to build meditation practices. What would you say is the interplay between the two? Is it sort of one and the same, or is there a real distinction between gratitude practices and mindfulness?
That is a great question. I think there's a lot of connectedness between the two. I think with being present, it is really noticing what's happening on every level.
Mm-hmm.
Physical, emotional, mental, spiritual. Where are you at in that present moment? And then gratitude is maybe another layer on top of that. Can I feel grateful for where I'm at emotionally? Even if I'm having a really rough day and it's not necessarily where I want to be right now, I want to be a little bit happier. Can I still feel grateful for where I'm at right now? Mm-hmm. Physically, we're quarantined. Can we feel grateful? Mm-hmm. Is there anything about the situation that we can have a little bit of gratitude for? If not, that's okay too. Like, I really just want to stress that the gratitude is beautiful and brilliant and really can be helpful. And it's also okay if it doesn't work for you, or if you try it and you just don't like it. If it doesn't do the things people say it does for them, it's okay. We all experience things differently. And so it's that layering on. And so maybe it's just starting with being present, mm-hmm. and then feeling gratitude for everything that's happening in that present moment on every level.
And just for a reminder for folks, if you have a question, you could chat it in the box. You said earlier that you work with children. Is this a practice that you utilize in your work with children, and any tips for parents that might be interested in bringing this practice into their family?
Yeah, that's great. So I currently don't work with children on a therapeutic or clinical level. I don't incorporate gratitude practice into my work with them, just given my role, that it's very unique, and it just doesn't fit into the role that I have in my work. But I absolutely recommend starting a gratitude practice if you have children with them. And I think it, again, comes to slow steps, starting easy, having a conversation about gratitude before going to bed that night, thinking about one thing they were grateful for during the day. And I think an easy way to introduce it also might be, if you do have any practices with your children already, how can you layer that in? So maybe it's baking a special treat on Sundays. Can you, when you finish, talk about gratitude for that process and the beautiful outcome and the beautiful baked good that you now have? Mm-hmm. After maybe reading a bedtime story, can you say to your child, what was your favorite part of that story? Are you grateful to have heard that and have experienced that? The same with going to see a movie. I think gratitude and just love, feeling of affection, there is absolutely a link there.
I love that a lot. So we could wrap up in a few, but I do want, if you could just give, again, I wrote everything down. I really love those practices, but if you can give a quick recap again of those different tips.
The different practices. Mm-hmm. Yes. Okay. So I have count your blessings, waking up in the morning, thinking of a few things you're grateful for, maybe writing them down, maybe saying them out loud, and then saying the words thank you for those things, not just feeling it, but also having that be the primary thing, is the feeling. Your magical rock practice in the evening, reflecting on the thing you're most grateful for throughout the day. Your relationship practice, pictures of a few people, making a list of the things you're grateful for, speaking to them about it. Gratitude for your health, whether it be through a few moments of staying present in your breath and having gratitude for each breath, or writing an actual physical reminder, the gift of health is keeping me alive, and referring to it and feeling that gratitude as you see it throughout the day. Gratitude for food, how it got to you, what it does for your body and your health. and gratitude for your body, for the earth through magical footsteps, just feeling grateful with every step you take at one point in the day. And gratitude for yourself, whether it be a mirror practice, again, another list, or just an ongoing, very long list with time.
Mhm. Thank you. Again, it's very reflective for me because we've been building this practice. But what I like is also just when you talk about food and health and breath, and especially in a family, I'm thinking now, like when we have dinner and we express our gratitude for our food, to remember like these food came from farms, right? There's workers in those farms, and as someone who's hyper political, right? I'm always like, and those workers aren't getting, adequate health care and adequate wages and are working really hard and are not treated properly. And yet, we're benefiting from the fruits of their labor. And, it's a very difficult thing to recognize the injustices there. But we have to remember that the food comes from that, right? And that we need to enjoy it and be grateful for it, and also fight for the justice that they deserve because they're nourishing our bodies. So again, I'm trying to always think of ways to like have conversations that are really important with my son's 8, so he's at the cusp, but he's really understanding these more political side of the issues that we care about, but not put in a way that we can also express gratitude, right? And be grateful in a time when there's food insecurity, when so many people are suffering, that we do have to be very grateful for our shelter, for our breath, for our health, our legs, and the food that's in front of us. So so I want to thank you for joining us and for sharing these practices. I'm very grateful, and it gave me a lot of food for thought. And again, in this very, very difficult time, I think it's even more important to create these practices so that we all can express gratitude in this moment that's quite difficult. So thank you so much for joining us. And any last words or final reflections?
Thank you. Thank you for doing this and having this platform for the community and having a place where people can come together and learn about different topics. And thank you to everyone who tuned in tonight and made this time and space for yourself. And thank you to your future self if you try a gratitude practice.
Yeah, thank you. And for folks that are with us, we will be hosting another webinar on Sunday with the folks at Vote Mama PAC. Lubin Gretchen Shirley is a woman who ran for Congress, and she was pregnant and had, I think, 2 little ones while running for office. And she actually fought to ensure that campaign funds could be used for childcare. And that's a fight that benefits so many mothers who are running for office with small children. So we'll have that discussion on Sunday at 6 o'clock. And then next Wednesday, we'll also be talking about immigration with folks from Make the Road Action Fund. So again, thank you, Kayla, so much for joining us. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. And we hope to see you on Sunday.
Thank you.
Good night, everyone.